All right. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Christine Dyckman, and I am a career counselor. I walk the line between helping job seekers to land the job of their dreams and helping businesses to thrive in this economy. So, well, currently I am working for Monmouth County Workforce Development Office, which is how you probably found out about this program. Ken Lang is our speaker today. Ken and I met on LinkedIn. And you can't even imagine, right? So small world. Ken lives in North Jersey and actually commented on one of my comments on LinkedIn. And that's how we met. So it's been a long time that we've been going back and forth. We have met for lunch. We have introduced our spouses. We have, we know about each other's families and our likes and our dislikes. And you're not going to be best friends with everyone you meet, but Ken is one of my friends. So I definitely hope that you are going to enjoy his presentation about LinkedIn and the positive behaviors that you can get from using LinkedIn on a daily basis. I am all for using it as a social media platform for job seekers, for professionals, even when you land a job. And Ken's going to tell you a little bit about that. So, all right, Ken, take it away.
Well, welcome everyone. Thank you very much for having me here today, Christine. Just to give you a little bit of background about what I'm looking to do today. There was a time when we would all go through these presentations, one right after the other. I think everyone here is pretty much presentationed out. So what I've started to do is I will go through some slides, but I want to spend the bulk of this time actually going on LinkedIn and answering some of your questions in real time, because the slides don't do everything justice, but it will give you some background. So Christina, if you monitor the chat, that would be helpful. I'll be looking for any questions and the like that you have. But I'm going to go make this a very basic presentation for now, and then we'll take it from there. So I'm just going to share my screen now. And that's
if you do have any questions, please put them in the chat box. I'm happy to answer those, or
Sure.
have Ken answer those questions, and
Sure.
let Ken go through his presentation, because he might even answer some of those questions for you before you even ask.
I promise it will not be too boring. I've rethought this many times before. Honestly, the best part of doing this is that I'm always learning from people too as to what they actually want to hear about. Because as a trainer, we have a different community and we get into specifics, but this is really more about a general presentation. And the idea of LinkedIn, I'm assuming most of you are on it, there are some basic needs. And when I go to my profile in a bit, I'll explain a little bit more about what I mean by that. But everyone needs to have a picture. The picture should be something that puts them in the best light. And one conversation that's come up now is to make sure your picture really reflects the way you've been the last couple of years or so. A lot of times people have pictures that are a bit older. I probably have to update mine, but you are who you are. And it is so important that people know that. The headline part of it, again, when we go to my profile, it's not just about the job that you have. It's the ability to put other things in searchable. So important, because you want to be found. I mean, the goal on LinkedIn is that you want to be hunted. You don't want to be the hunter. So think about that. And when we go to my profile, I'll show you mine. If we have time, or if people have questions afterwards, you can definitely follow up with me about some things that you might want to know about. The About section, a very important part of it as well, because everything within LinkedIn is searchable. Your headline is searchable. Your About section is searchable. It's not so much about people reading it. You can go more than 2,000 characters in the About section, but the main thing is you want to make sure that the information is there to be found. And the same with the jobs and descriptions. When we go to my profile, and I'll tell you what I mean by skills, the relevant location is very important. So many people I know put down the town that they're in on the profile. You want to think about it from putting a metropolitan area there. You can still mention your local in the background. And above all, I think it's important to engage with people. Now, engaging with people is not as scary as it seems. I am an introvert. I am scared to death of posting. I
Me
always
too.
have been scared of posting, and it's a whole imposter syndrome thing. What do I have to say? What happens if it's not right? What? And you know something? Don't be that person. Most of the people you think that are the most outgoing are actually introverts. So this is what I alluded to before about the head, the title. It is not just your job. All of these things here are searchable. Job search, LinkedIn, business analyst, product owner. Now I put a couple of things in there that tell a little bit about myself. I'm a Giants fan. Now that may turn off Jets fans and like that are there, but it's just a little bit something about me. And then I have a couple of taglines, always learning, always positive. They're not searchable, but it's a little bit about who I am. And it's very important to think about how that positions you. This background image here is also another way for me to brand myself. I did it on Canva. Very simple to do. My name and a little bit about myself. I think if you're not sure how to do something, there's a lot of information out there. The picture that's here is actually a picture of me when I was actually doing a cover story. And that is something which, if you're not sure how to do it, you can go to your phone. You actually record yourself talking. It's the closest thing now to an elevator pitch. You know, elevator pitches are gone. I believe they're going to be gone. Thank goodness. And I think in place of that now is going to be talking about yourself, whether here or on LinkedIn. So this
I
is what
think, Ken, that the elevator pitch is just a scary term, and I think that's been replaced with personal branding. And LinkedIn and networking is really scary. So a lot of those terms are not necessarily positive. And so maybe we all need to come up with some more positive.
think about where the term came from for an elevator pitch. You have
Yeah.
just enough time in an elevator to get your point across. And you know, we were all joking amongst ourselves during the pandemic. No one was going in an elevator anyway.
No, that's true.
So this is the about section here, and I allude to this. The most important part of the about section are the first 4 lines of it, because this is what people are going to see first when they go to a profile. So I have here, I'm a LinkedIn introvert, job search mentor. Don't be afraid. You want to get their attention with something, even if you're looking for a job. What is it about you that is going to make you relevant for the next person? I also put down here my email address in the first 4 lines. If you're not connected to someone directly on LinkedIn, you want to find a way to reach out to them. So again, this is just a tool to do. Your about section, it's very hard for people to write about themselves. I understand that. If you need to talk to someone else to brainstorm, it is what you can do for your next employer. It is not just about what you did.
And I've seen blogs and guidance on writing an about section for a non-writer. I mean, I'm not a creative writer at all, but I've seen some that say use I's. I've seen some that recommend that you use the name and a third person. What's your take on that?
I think the most important thing to do, and this is how I've worked with a lot of people. You and I may be talking, Christine, and I'll say, tell me about yourself. And you'll start talking about stuff and talking about it. I'll say, why isn't it on your LinkedIn about section? Just think out loud.
I just did that last week.
I mean, it's about, think about if you were going to just have a conversation with someone, how are you going to differentiate yourself? You know, there are so many people in IT, so many people in finance. Okay, that's fun. So what is it about you that's different? What is your thing? My thing is I'm a LinkedIn introvert. I mean, I'm an introvert, I'm a job search mentor, and I put after that a tagline, don't be afraid or worried about what to post here. Jump in the LinkedIn water is fine. Now, is all of that searchable? No, but you know exactly who I am in 4 lines with the ability to read more. And when we get to the skills part, these are the top 3 skills I have. And when I go to my profile, I'll show you how you can set them up. And then you can move the skills around and you can take skills. But again, I actually created LinkedIn Rockstar and Top Voice. You can actually create your own skill. You're not locked into the skills that are there. So LinkedIn Strategy is a skill, LinkedIn Rockstar and Top Voice, create your own skill. It doesn't have to be anything. It can be this. It can be something that is there. But if you have a special talent, let people know about it. Now, the question I get.
Going on that, I'm sorry to interrupt you again, Zoom is so hard. With the skill part, if you're creating your own skill, are you trying to match those skills? I mean, it gives you 50 to put on there. So are you trying to add those skills to a job description if you're in job search, and the most
yes,
skills that would appear for that type of position, or can you create things that
I'm going to show people how to do that later on.
Oh, okay. All right, so I'm ahead of you. Sorry.
My thinking is this: if you had an elevator pitch, use some of the elevator pitch terms here. You know, when I did my elevator pitch, I call myself a LinkedIn rock star, and now you would put it there. So the question I get a lot is, what's the difference between premium basic? I get this question all the time. So I'm just going to go through a couple of basic differences. Unless you're part of a library, you won't have access to LinkedIn Learning unless you do that. The additional search and browsing results and the 90 days of who viewed your profile, I don't believe any of these are enough of a reason to get premium, except to try it for a month or so. But there is something which is really interesting, and that is you have the ability with premium to actually see statistics on a regular basis. Might be helpful, might not be. You can actually match job skills. So this is when I alluded to the skills before. There's a job that's out there. It will tell you the most common applicant skills based on the job spec and how many of those skills you have. So it's a way besides the job spec. It doesn't mean that you don't have the skills, but it might be a reminder, hey, I need to add these skills to my jobs, my profile, so I'm matched up, because that's how recruiters go about it sometimes. They just look for someone who has the most amount of skills, whether they're.
So let me ask you with that said, Ken, if that is on premium only, correct? Like if you have it free. Now
it says premium up here. That's how you know that.
So if you are applying to a job, we all know customizing a resume, and people call the same thing maybe 4 different things. And so if you're applying and it says you don't have that skill in your skills listed, but yet you have something similar, what do you recommend for taking off, putting on, and for catering to each type of position?
I think when I look at something like this, I don't have Eclipse. I don't even know what Eclipse and Telco are, but I would never have thought to add team building and team leadership as skills, because it's probably a little intuitive that I have that. So it's almost a good idea. And you can find that in the job spec too.
Yeah.
It's an aha. Hey, I should add that because I'm making an assumption that people know that I have that.
Okay.
And then the other thing is this: you have sample interview questions and answers, which under premium, they'll give you sample answers. So it's tell me about yourself, your greatest strength. You will get sample answers. Now, again, I can't make the call for everyone to hear if it's worth doing it. I would say if you try it for 30 days, these are some of the things to look at to do it with. You know, look at the interview skill, look at the interview questions, look at the stats. You can also find out a specific company. You can look at the type of employees they have there and their hiring trends. I mean, use those 30 days for research for that, to get the data. I mean, most important thing is when you go in there, don't just use, I would say, don't use premium unless you have a plan. So this would be part of a plan for the 30 days. And then you can also see now it says meet the hiring team. So if you go to a job spec, it'll tell you who the hiring team is on there if they've listed it. So it's now, this one here, this is an assistant VP at this company, and it tells you here the ideal candidate is, and this is what they're looking for. So it's based on their insights. Again, this is the type of thing when if you're going to try it for a month, these are the things to look for. You know, it's all there because you're not going to have that opportunity again. So I would recommend that. Now,
so let me ask you, with that said, Ken, you have all of these options and it's through a premium account. So is that, I know there's a couple different levels of premium. The first level of a premium account is the career account, a career premium account
Well, I
kind
think
of
there's a
thing?
business career, however they're defining it now.
Okay,
Um,
because they
you
do
know,
change it often.
they
Yeah.
change it. I mean, what I'm paying for now doesn't exist anymore.
Right, right.
And I've had it for a while. Um,
Okay.
it's good to try things like this out, and they always have things everywhere. And if you have veterans on the call, veterans can get a year of premium for free. I don't know if they're
How
aware
do
of
they
that.
do that?
There is a place on LinkedIn, and I can share the link with you later on. It's on LinkedIn has a different place for veterans, and you can apply and get it, and you have premium for a year. And that's something you may want to mention as well. Again, this is what they do.
Awesome.
And yeah, so that's the other thing is this. When you asked before about assigning skills to your work,
Mhm.
this is just to show you, like when you get to your skills, and I can do this on LinkedIn itself, you see there's a pencil here next to all the
Yes.
skills. So you select the pencil, and then just go to here. When you go to pencil, you will have all these different skills here. So pencil, these are all your skills. So now I'm over here and I'm selecting, let's say job search strategies is the one that I want. So I've selected the pencil. I have all my listed skills here. So if I select one of those skills here, there's actually two pencils. The first pencil is to edit, is to get into this screen. The second pencil is to get the list of skills. So then I select the specific one that I want, and then it's going to say, where do you want to put that? So I will do this in real time as well. But then it's going to say, I want to put this business skill at this place here. And then it's going to go back and it's going to go on there. The other thing which just came up, and I kept this in because I love it, is when you do a comment, you can pin a comment. You can move a
I
comment to the
think
top.
that is an awesome newbie thing that they decided to incorporate as well. So I agree with you.
And you can also unpin comments and move comments around. What it does is it gives you the best visibility. The other thing which is now changed is you now have two inboxes, a focused versus an other, which is LinkedIn's first attempt at trying to set up spam. Not super successful so far, but it is a start. So these are the comments before we get to the actual LinkedIn that I want to make about posting on LinkedIn. The longevity of a post is important, much more than that first hour. The first hour, which is actually more than an hour now, I found out because it takes a while for a post to get across to different people. You want to have a post that is going to be relevant for a longer period of time. It's not, I mean, I'll post something for today, and I know it's not going to have the same reach a week from now, but I understand that. But I don't do that every day. And I don't talk about hashtags and tagging here so much because it gets to be very cumbersome. It is part of what they do. But all of these changes are related to something called pods and bots. And what they are you've seen these posts before. You wonder why they have 10,000 likes and a lot of one-time comments. LinkedIn is trying to clamp down on that. So now
Let
what
me
I
ask
wanted
you, Ken, I don't know if you're going to address this or not, but we do have a question in the chat box. They're looking for guidance on transitioning from a full-time job to a part-time job opportunity. Is there something that they state in their profile, or maybe set it up differently in order to
I
get
would put
contacted?
down in the about section what you're looking to do. Maybe mention why, but your skills are going to be your skills. So unless you're transitioning from one industry to the other, that doesn't change.
Right.
You can put down in your headline, looking for part-time. It's about how you want to be found. So
Okay.
before we get to LinkedIn itself, I put this in at the last minute, which is the QR code, which we all probably know really, really well from going out and having to take a QR code snapshot of a menu or something like that, and you now see it on TV. So on your phone, you have something called a QR code. It used to be when you went to business networking events, you'd be passing out cards. I don't know about you, but I'm not comfortable passing out cards. I'm looking on top of my desk now. I think I have about 5,000 to 6,000 cards. I'm not even sure why I still have them or not. So I'm going to show you the steps on your phone to do this. So if you have a phone, what you do is you go to My Network, and you can do this after the call, My Network, and then you're going to see this blue circle here. So you select on your home feed My Network in the blue circle. Then when you select the blue circle, it's going to be scan QR code. So if I scan QR code, this is what shows up, your LinkedIn QR code. And you can either save that code to your photos, so you don't have to go through those steps all the time, or you can share the code. But if you actually, at this point now, here's the code. If you take a picture of that code at an event, you then will connect with that person. It'll be the same as sending a connection request. So as an example, this is my QR code. After this presentation, you can do the same thing. I recommend people do this all the time. You can put it on your, Kevin Turner actually did that as a screen lock on his phone. Everyone's QR code is different. It's connected to your URL. So if you make a change to your profile, nothing is going to be impacted. And it's a really cool thing to do. And I think now that you go back to in-person events, have a QR code. This is one of the fun things I love to demo with people, because people get that aha, oh my God, I didn't realize it. And it's not that hard to do. So as the final slide before we get on to LinkedIn itself, just a reminder, you're more than 20 times likely to be viewed if you have a picture. The background picture, which you saw of mine, is another way to market yourself. You can put anything in there you want to. It's a way to, people don't use it because most people just don't know what to do with it. And the idea of engaging is, it's like anything else on social media, it's going to be a perception. You will be perceived as a social media or a subject matter expert, and LinkedIn is keyword driven. So what I want to do now at this point, if that's okay with you, Christine, is I want to stop sharing and I want to actually go to LinkedIn and walk through some of these things, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely. We do have a question in the chat box, and I have an answer, but I wanted your take on it.
All right, well, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen. So now we are on LinkedIn right now.
So if I ask you to recommend me for a skill, you know me very well. You've known me for a long time. Well, a connection asking you to recommend them for their skill, you've never really met. How would you respond to that request?
I don't generally speak. First of all, there's a difference between recommendations and endorsements.
Mm-hmm.
That's like when you go down to here with the skills, there are all people that have endorsed me. That's okay. A recommendation is a little bit different. If you, let's say, and for the purposes of an example, I want to recommend someone. You can either recommend someone or someone can recommend you.
Mm-hmm.
So if I go to your profile, did I ever recommend you, Christine, by the way? I think I may have actually.
I think you have actually.
All right, so let me call up someone else. Let's say here's Kevin Turner. And I want to recommend him because we're first connections. So I go to someone's profile and then there's a more here. And then the more says I can recommend someone or request a recommendation. So let's say I want to request a recommendation from Kevin. Just like if you might want to request a recommendation from someone else. So you would select that, and then LinkedIn then asks you, how do you know the person? What's the relationship? And then it's going to ask you for all these different options. So however you did it, position at the time, it's going to ask you based on your profile to fill that in. And then here you would put in, I mean, this is the default from LinkedIn, would you write a recommendation? You can put in whatever you want that person to say. And then it gets sent, and then Kevin would have to agree or disagree with doing it, and you can edit it. Now that's if Kevin is going to recommend me. If I want Kevin to, if I want to do the opposite, which is I want to recommend Kevin, it's the same idea. What's the relationship? What's the position? And what do you want? What is my recommendation? I can say that Kevin is a great person, did this and this and this, and then it gets sent, and then Kevin or whoever the person is would have the ability to either accept the recommendation or not. So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
I think that it's very interesting. If you haven't been on LinkedIn in the past couple of months, let alone a year, 2 years, if you look at the recommendations the way it used to be compared to how it is now, LinkedIn is making it a little harder for you to do a recommendation. You can't just willy-nilly write a recommendation for somebody. You have to, what is your relationship? Did you work with them? Did you work on the project above them, below them, at a past company? It's asking you a lot of different questions to narrow things down so that they know, whoever's reading it, how you can be comfortable referring them and how you've witnessed that. So
what I
we
want to,
talked about recommendations, but I don't know about skills. How does that go with
well, skills, let's say again, there's two different aspects of this, but you don't, when you go to skills, and I'm going to go to mine, I'll walk through the steps a little bit slower this time because it's a little confusing. These are all my skills. If I select this pencil here, this lists all my skills. And these are other skills that are on below here. So let's say software development. Let's say I want, and you asked before about how to put that on your job. So let's say I want to add software development to a job. So I will select this pencil here, and it's going to say, where do you want me, LinkedIn, to put that skill? And it's going to say, based on all your experience, tell us where you want to put it. So let's say I want to add it to here, to AMC. And then I save it. Then when I go back to my profile, and I believe I just put it with AMC, it is now listed there, software development. And that's all searchable.
Can I recommend you for software development?
Well, again, let's assume.
I know, by the way, I know nothing about software development.
No.
There's no way I could recommend you, but.
You're recommending a person based on the relationship that you have and where you worked. It's not the specific technical skill. So, so the software development might come in the context of what you're actually going to be saying in this here. So if I look at my recommendations here, like this is Alex Freund's. Likeable guy, it has nothing to do, and it's a very, these are not specific to me and my industry, but again, these are just people that have sent it to me, and I don't ask for recommendations. People have lots and lots and lots of, it's always better, like these are my received recommendations. There's also a thing called given. These are recommendations that I've given. Now, Sandra Wise is in transition. She goes to my LinkedIn office hours. So I just did a recommendation. She's learned a lot from our LinkedIn office hours, her abilities and experience, and sunny personality and strong ethic would make her a great human services advocate. And again, it's just a very simple thing.
So how long do you keep recommendations? That's a question in the chat box.
Well,
if you received it several years ago, should it still stay on your profile?
The recommendations that you have, you should make sure that you have at least one new recommendation a year. One recommendation a year, because you have people that have got 6 and 7 year old recommendations. And it doesn't show you in the best light. If you get one new recommendation a year, that's a good best practice. LinkedIn doesn't penalize you the other way. But I would say above all, think about, like everyone on this call could technically recommend each other or vice versa. The important thing is to build the relationships. And what I wanted to allude to next was the whole idea of posting, because that gets so overwhelming, if that's okay with you.
Yes, we talked about talking about LinkedIn and discussed, ways we can use LinkedIn to network, as network is just a scary term overall. And what do we do? And what does it really mean to network? And so, diving into that a little bit is not just we have this wonderful profile. I'm on LinkedIn, so okay, my hands are in the air. Now it's taking it a step further and kind of taking that networking to a new level. What's the first thing that you would do?
First thing I would do is I would go over here, which is LinkedIn News, which is set up
Okay.
for you. There's all these different news articles. And again, I'm just going to look. First one, triple demic threat rises for kids. Has nothing. And there are comments here. You can find an article and just start commenting. Start commenting on the article.
Now, it's a vaccine law. So, Ken, does that have anything to do with your job or what you do
Not
for kids
necessarily.
and vaccines and that kind of thing?
Not
Does it really
necessarily,
have
but
anything?
no, like here, the rom-com is still making bank. This is about the movie Ticket to Paradise. Has nothing to do per se with LinkedIn,
Mhm.
but if you look at it, it's an easy way to engage.
Yeah.
And it's a start, because think about LinkedIn in that way is almost like a town hall. LinkedIn creates news. Now there is news here, which again, Phillips to cut 4,000 jobs. This is a job search one.
Yeah.
And then people there will start commenting. Like if I look over here, there's 11 comments with this here. And then people just start posting their thoughts. And there's nothing to, again, you can, and then someone put here, we're hiring here. It's an opportunity. It's a good first step to make. If you're not really sure where to start, let LinkedIn do the work for you. But if you are so inclined, all you do is select start a post. Now you have all these different
I'm sorry,
options.
can you click on that once again?
You select this gray area here where it says start a post.
Do you have to do it from your computer or laptop, or can you do
You
it
can
from
do it
your
from
phone?
anywhere. I would recommend if you're doing it from your phone, you have it, like there are apps and things where you can actually do a copy all the text at one time. What I do a lot of times is actually create a Word document of what I'm going to say, and it's easy to do it that way. But then it says start a post, and then you have all these different options here. You can add a picture, you can add a video, you can add a document, share that you're hiring, which that's celebrating occasion is one of my favorite ones. The other thing is creating a poll, and I'll show you about the celebrate in a minute. Creating a poll, you can ask a question. What's the question you want to ask? What are the options? Go up to 4. What's the duration? And then when you're done, that is your first level of engagement. And it does not have to be job search related, although you can ask a question. What is the most frustrating part of the job search? Or you can ask, what do you do to decompress? You know, I always love, it's about getting engagement and then some of the questions. Now, what I did today, and I wanted to allude to this because I think most people don't realize, celebrating an occasion is a really great thing to do. New position is very underutilized. It is not just about when you get a new job. You can be starting a volunteer position. You could be starting something else. So if you select new position here, you can either add a photo or let's say use one of these images here. So let's say you're starting a new position. Would select that, go to next. I'm excited to start, and I can say I'm excited to start my new volunteer position. And I'm going to show you in a minute that I actually did this. So and then you can post that. Now I posted this today, actually. And that's
He
why
did, I commented.
So actually what I did today is I created this post here. I'm excited to start my latest volunteer role as a mentor. And you will probably have volunteer roles. And I tagged one person who's then I won't be able to attend. So now I have 38 something people, 20 something comments, and I got feedback. So if you have something you want to share, it doesn't have to be a new job. It can be anything else. It's a great way to
What is
start.
an impression? There's 1,200 impressions.
An impression. You are going to ask a question, which the best guess. Impressions are measured by how long someone stays on a post. You have to I think from LinkedIn standpoint, if you're on a post for like more than 3 or 4 seconds, it's counted as an impression, as opposed to a view.
Mhm.
If you go and you select your impressions, like over here, it'll tell you the demographics of the people that were reached. It'll tell you more information. I don't hold a lot of stock in impressions. I don't think any of us really do, because it's more about the engagement. It's about what you do with the information. And anyone can create this anytime. The main thing is here, this is a volunteer role. It has nothing to do with, and I said that. So people, don't be afraid to say that. You're volunteering. Let people know. I mean, what I actually did for mine as part of that is I actually put the score down here under an organization, because that's what I'm associating with. But Christine, I'd love to get your take. What do you think about using a volunteer position under experience? I mean, what is there
Especially when you have skills that you can add to your volunteer positions that you're using that are already on your skill. Absolutely. I think it should be on there, because even if you're not getting paid, you're still doing the work and you're still using those skills. To me, that is just as important as a paid position. I don't agree with, and this is again my opinion, not fact, because there's both sides. I don't agree with the whole gap in employment, because you were doing something, whether it was volunteering somewhere or using some skill set, whether it was organization or phone calls, you're taking care of a sick loved one, or PTO, or whatever it happens to be. There's something you can add to that time, as opposed to taking a break or being a parent or whatever.
So let me give you guys an example. Betty Johnson is a second connection who just actually congratulated me. So I'm going to connect with her. I don't know Betty that well, but she took the time to comment on my post. When you select connect, you want to personalize it. You don't want to just collect send. So I'm going to add a note. I'm going to say, Betty, thank you so much for congratulating me, dear. And you alluded to, would you also be open to connecting? Best wishes. And that kind of alludes to like the 2-sentence thing, that I'm doing. Now, again, I'm looking at Betsy's profile and we have some mutual connections. So I'm going to send that, and maybe, and now it switches to pending. It's another way to engage when you engage with people. You don't want to be, generally speaking, if people don't connect with you, they don't connect with you. They're not going to report you to LinkedIn unless you send out 50 or 60 at one time or something. You want to engage with people on this platform. LinkedIn, and this was the other thing I alluded to before with the searching. When you do searches on LinkedIn, you're not just searching for terms. Like if I were to do, like, people are in job search, if I select I'm hiring, which are just 2 words, that's all they are, and I do see all results, and then I select people. I now have 78,000 people that have I'm hiring listed here. Now, that's
a lot of jobs.
That's too many for me. So I'm going to break it down further. So now I can break it down by location, and I can say, okay, I just want New York City area. So I wanted the New York City metropolitan area. I have 2,700 people that are hiring.
Wow.
I can go even further under all filters. I can say, okay, maybe there's a certain industry that I'm interested in, I'm hiring. So let's say information technology. So my results will be New York City, I'm hiring 20, and I'm going to now get a much lower number. So now these are 209 people that are hiring. Now, I don't know specifically what they're hiring for unless I call them up, but I might reach out to them and say, and again, here's a person here. I might say, Kip, I noticed you were hiring for X. Would you be open? Now, I'm not actually going to send this, but what I have done is I have done this. I've mentioned that I run a job search group, and I'll say to them, I run a job search group. Would you be open to connecting and sharing opportunities? This is about doing research on LinkedIn. This is not just, and this is not basic versus premium only. You can do it by different areas, different industries, connections. It's a different way to search on LinkedIn. You know,
But Ken, why go back? Why does this, like, some of the blue boxes say connect and some of them say follow? What's up with
okay.
that?
Well, here's the thing to understand, and it's good that you brought that up. So I'm just going to go through my same steps again, location. And that is, okay, all filters, IT.
Sorry to make you do
No,
all
no,
those
no, no.
extra clicks.
I would much rather do this now than have it later on. So I'm going to look for, so this person here has follow. What that is saying is that their default way is to follow. And when you follow someone, you do find out their content and their text. But if you were to select the more, which is here, you have the ability to connect. It's just that they don't make that the priority. So if you select follow, if I follow this person, then I'll be following them. But
What does that mean? You'll be following them. What does that mean?
Means anytime that they post something, I may be notified of it, but I can't engage with them directly. Like I'm following people that I have no business ever connecting with because I'm interested in Mark Cuban and I'm interested in Bill Gates, whatever it is. So I'll be notified when they put content up. But if you do, if you follow someone and you want to have more followers than connections if possible, I have a lot more followers than I do connections. But the challenge becomes with anything you do, the size of your network. You may have thousands of connections, but the reality is your network maybe is 150 to 250 people you can rely on. I mean, and they're not just numbers, for sure. What I also like to suggest people do is that they download their connections, which is something which
Oh my goodness, now you're like, what are you talking about? Download connection? You're like, wow.
Do I dare show people what to do?
Hold that thought, because I have a question that I would like you to address, because we're talking about connections and you know, maybe connecting to recruiters. So how do we know what is spam and what's not spam, especially from a recruiter? Is it a good idea to accept all requests for connections from recruiters, or even if it doesn't apply to your industry, it's just a recruiter request?
Well, I'm going to go to all my invitations now, and I'm going to break it out. I have right now 108 people.
I don't feel bad because I know that mine is just as big. Okay, good. I have to get there, guys.
So here's an example. Here's Milanis. Very happy to meet you here. I hope my invitation can make your life and work happy. You know, I don't know. I mean, I generally speaking, this is a spam message here. This is a total spam message. Hi, Kenneth. LinkedIn keeps recommending you. Clearly, we are supposed to meet. Tell me, are you open to speaking gigs? I host a satellite TV series and a podcast that reaches 1 million people monthly. Now, I may or may not reach out to that person, but it's the same message he's probably sending to other people, billionaires and boxers. Here, I'm reaching out to you because I work with business leaders to create books that enable them to stand out as thought leaders in their field. Can we schedule a quick chat?
So you can't really tell that you're being scammed. You just kind of know you're being scammed. Like, how do you figure that out?
Well, trial and error, honestly, because a lot of times I've made the mistake of connecting with people, and right away I get the let's have a conversation, or do you need a financial person thing? And that's one of the reasons why I don't recommend following up right away. We call it, we have different terminology for it here. It's selling. It's Rachel, Simon, and I talk a lot about it. People don't know how to use this platform, or people are given bad information. There is no, you have to go by your gut. When I got started in this platform, I made the mistake a lot of other people did. I sent a lot of connection requests to people I didn't know because I thought it was the right thing to do, and I got put in LinkedIn jail. You learn, and you learn from other people here. Now, as I'm gone here now, I'm looking at notifications. So Brenda Meller, and she tagged me on a post, so I'm getting notified all the time. That's a challenge. And that's why I don't necessarily want to be tagged. I mean, I know who people are. There are some people that send 30 and 40 times that they're tagging me. I would much rather have a conversation, or have a post, or have someone post something that's genuine. I'm not a numbers person. I don't care if I don't get thousands of likes and views and this and that. I just want quality versus quantity. And that's a very hard concept for a lot of people to understand. Everyone on this.
With that said, Ken, I mean, there's a lot of, you went out and you just connected to people, good, bad, ugly, indifferent, whatever it happens to be. Did you disconnect to them, or did you leave them in your?
I totally
circle?
Disconnected. I've been on this platform 15.
So wait a minute, how do you disconnect? Like, I know we talk about that word, but how do you take them out of that circle?
Okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my connections, and I'm going to call up someone here. So this is the first connection of mine.
Where did you go for my connections? I'm so sorry.
Okay. I'm going to go to my profile, and then from my profile, it has my list of connections.
Thank you.
Then it has all my connections. Now I could break it down further than this. So here are all my first connections. So I'm going to call up a first connection. And again, under the more, further down, there is a thing, remove connection.
Thank you. Thank you. So you can unfollow, you can remove connection, then the same thing goes for a company then. Because that is a question in the chat box. To unfollow a company would be the same procedure?
So yeah, now I don't want to bust Michelle Daly's chops too much.
Yeah, no, go ahead. No, you can.
Michelle, I reported to Michelle Daly when I was at Bed Bath & Beyond. And now Michelle Daly, who you would not know from this profile, just lost her job last year at Bed Bath. She doesn't know how to use LinkedIn, I guess. So I would say, and again, this is not a knock. She just is not comfortable using it. You have to put yourself out there. What I struggle with a little bit now is everyone and their mother and father putting up their, I just lost my job, can you help me? I know it's a sign of the times. I know it's what we do right now, but you want to be a little more specific. If you're looking for a job, you definitely can create a post, but what is it about you that you want to let people know about? What are your skills? Someone asked before about full-time versus part-time. You can mention in your section, when you list your heading, you can mention you're available for full-time and part-time and remote. It's all behind the scenes. I think if there's one takeaway from today, it's about taking advantage of the things on the platform that most people don't use that much, whether it's the search for other things, whether it's moving your skills around. And the idea is
that moving your skills around, you had said, can you delete certifications that you had or got
which brings me to something. Let me actually share something again, because again, it is a visual thing more than anything else. So I'm going to go to here, and I'm going to go to my list of skills here. So these are all my skills. Now, if you do here, these are the skills that are in order. You can reorder your skills. So let's say I want to move one of these skills up. I can do a drag and drop. So you see
Okay.
with the 3 dots, I've got reorder. Oops.
Yes.
I've got reorder. So I do reorder, and now I can move business analytics up here and down, whatever, and it shows up that way. So you want those, and so if I do that right now, which I will, and then I save it, it's there. Because
Do
I
you
moved it.
recommend that people get a professional account and a personal account for LinkedIn, kind of like
No.
Michelle?
I recommend you take advantage of everything you can within a personal account. I do suggest you have more than one email address associated with that account, whether it's a Gmail or something else, because if it's associated with a work email address and you lose that access to that, you lose access to your LinkedIn profile. I think that's a good best practice. I think the other thing that I allude to as well is you want to edit, we talk about this now, you want to edit your URL so it's not all the numbers and things. You know, like I have mine Lang K. So if you go over here on your profile, it says edit public profile, you can personalize your URL from here. So if I want to change mine, like you might have the ABC-123 question mark, you can then change it from there.
I know that we could talk about LinkedIn for at least
Absolutely.
30, 40, 50 hours. What you could do, what you can't do, and that kind of thing. So if you have not or just getting started on LinkedIn, I definitely recommend watching my YouTube channel videos to just get started and learn the ins and outs. But the whole like picture at the top bar that Ken had alluded to, that has the whole privacy and settings and a full drop down for you to read every single thing, because it's amazing all the different options that you have. And if you're looking for something and you can't find it, it's there. It's definitely there. So it's in more than one place.
Christine, I want to share my screen because someone wanted to know how to download the connections. So let me go back to you. So if you go to your My Network here, and then you go to My Network, and then it says connections. And then it says here, you have manage synced and imported contacts, which you don't want to do. You want to select this here, and then it says advanced actions. So I'm going to go through the steps again. You go to your actual profile. You go to your connections. Whoops, never mind. Sorry, homepage, My Network, connections. Manage synced and imported contacts, export contacts. Then LinkedIn will ask you, what do you want to download? You can download your connections only. You can download articles. You can download. So I'm going to download connections. I'm going to request an archive. And then it says request pending, and then you will get a notification when it's available, and you'll be able to call it up. What you find LinkedIn, you can do a sort. I recommend you do it every couple of months or so, and then just the more recent ones can be added that way, and it'll tell you information about when you connected and why, etc. Give it a shot and see how it works. Unfortunately, you're not going to have email addresses on there unless people actually put them on there, because due to privacy concerns, LinkedIn took that away. I will send the presentation to you, Christine. I'm happy to have conversations with people if they want. I'm happy to come back. I like to pay it forward because it's my experience that a lot of times people have questions after the call, and that's just the nature of it.
Thank you. Again, everyone will get a copy of this recording because we are recording it, and it will be posted on my YouTube channel along with all the other videos of our guest speakers and LinkedIn 1, 2, and 3 of how to get started as a job seeker, make those connections, and get interested in you. So very elementary, but to get started. And it's a great resource for you with all the changes in case you're not aware of all the additional things that you can do, and maybe some things that Microsoft took away when they bought out LinkedIn. So that would be very helpful to you. And definitely go on LinkedIn. Use LinkedIn. We were talking earlier about how long you spend on LinkedIn. Well, we're looking at around 20, 25 minutes a day at this point as a job seeker. So put in the time, because that's better than hitting that apply button and hoping for the best, right?
I would also recommend on Sundays, if you're going to reach out to hiring managers and like, Sunday evening's a really good time to do it, because think about it from their perspective. They're coming into the office Monday morning and you're at the top of their inbox.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Yep.
So those are some hints. And again, Ken and I will speak a little bit more this afternoon at 1 o'clock on his LinkedIn live show. But you have to have a LinkedIn profile and go to LinkedIn under Ken Lang, and then you'll see the link to join us. So hopefully we will see you there. And if not, at 2 o'clock, and boy, Ken's a busy guy. He's going to be speaking LinkedIn audio. Who will he be speaking with, Ken?
I have no idea.
Oh,
I mean,
okay. Well, you know what? Whoever
Martin,
shows up
we'll
again,
see.
I don't really know.
It's a beta test. We're actually testing LinkedIn audio for company pages.
Awesome.
So we're going to give it a shot. I mean, and just so everyone understands, anyone can do any of the things I have suggested here, except for the separate things with premium.
Yes.
My advice is, again, if you use premium, focus on the job search stuff for sure. Instead of the other things, don't worry so much about the number of people that view your profile, because, I don't think the numbers can be incrementally that big a difference. I think you're better off with the things that are tangible. And if you're a veteran, like I said, I'll send you the information, Christine. It's 1 year for free. And there may be other places too that offer that, other groups. I'll have to double check.
Absolutely. And there are some out there. I just at this time don't have any information on it, but the whole veteran thing, that's like news to me. So I'm always learning every day too, which is awesome.
Sure.
So
sounds great. All right.
Thank you very much for attending, everyone. And we try to fit in as much information as we can. We will have another session on LinkedIn, and we'll talk a little bit more about the wonderful things that you can do. So have a good afternoon, everyone. Thanks again. We'll see each other soon.
Yep.
Bye.